Language is powerful. It's how we share memories, express emotions, and connect across the boundaries of space and time. But what if, in the middle of your sentence, something goes wrong, not because of the words you chose, but because of how you ended them? Imagine telling a friend what you watched, visited, or created yesterday, but they misunderstand. Why? Because your pronunciation of the ed ending was unclear or incorrect. Yes, just the letters, E and D, can decide whether you sound fluent or awkward. Today, we're going to uncover a surprisingly complex layer of English, the use of regular verbs in the past simple tense, and the pronunciation rules for the ed ending. This may seem small, but in speaking and listening, this is where fluency either breaks or flows. Welcome, my dear learners, to another chapter in your English learning journey, right here on English Passage, the channel where you don't just learn English, you live it. If this is your first time here, let me tell you what makes this space different. Here, we don't throw grammar at you and expect you to memorize it. Instead, we immerse you in the language. You hear it, you feel it, and most importantly, you remember it through story and sound. Today is day 15, and it marks a major moment in your learning path. We're diving into the backbone of English communication, past actions, and how to express them correctly. Thank you for giving me your ears, your time, and your attention. Now sit back, breathe, and let the sounds of English teach you more than rules ever could. What is the past simple tense? Let's begin with the concept of tense. In English, tense does more than just place an event in time. It expresses how the speaker perceives that time, whether it feels immediate, distant, permanent, or fleeting. The past simple tense specifically refers to actions that have been completed at a particular moment in the past. These actions are not connected to the present in any direct way. They're over, finished, closed, done. What makes the past simple so foundational in English is its finality. When you use it, you declare that the action has reached its conclusion. It creates a psychological boundary between the present and the past, helping us organize stories, thoughts, and experiences. This is true whether the action took place centuries ago or just a few seconds before the conversation began. For example, when you say, "I lived there," you're not only describing a place of residence, but you're also defining a chapter of your life that no longer continues into your present. That place, that moment, that version of you has become part of your personal history. What are regular verbs? Now let's move into the concept of regular verbs, which are central to forming the past simple tense. Regular verbs are consistent. They follow a grammatical pattern that adds ed to the base form of the verb to indicate the past. It's a simple mechanism, but like all language patterns, it becomes more complex when spoken aloud. Many learners assume that because regular verbs are easy to write, they are also easy to pronounce. But this is not the case. The simplicity on the page hides a subtle complexity in speech. In spoken English, the ed ending transforms based on what comes before it. It is not just a suffix, it is a sound, and like all sounds in English, it reacts to its neighbors. It morphs, blends, and sometimes expands. Understanding these changes is key to achieving natural fluency. Ignoring them can cause not just pronunciation mistakes, but also communication breakdowns, especially when listeners rely on subtle sound cues to understand past events. Introduction to phonetics. Before we understand the rules of ed pronunciation, we must understand how phonetics influence pronunciation in English. Phonetics is not merely a linguistic concept, it's the heartbeat of spoken language. It dictates the rhythm, the stress, and the sound relationships that give speech its fluidity and character. Phonetics, at its core, is the study of how speech sounds are created, how they are articulated, and how they interact with one another in real-time conversation. This field explores the movements of the tongue, lips, vocal cords, and airflow. It investigates how sounds change based on their position in a word or sentence, and how they influence one another. English, unlike some languages, is not phonetically transparent. This means the way a word is spelled does not always tell you how it should be pronounced. The written word often disguises the spoken reality. A single suffix like ed may look simple, but when spoken, it adjusts to maintain the flow and clarity of natural English speech. In the case of ed endings, this adjustment is a result of assimilation, a process where a sound changes to become more like a neighboring sound. Assimilation allows speech to be smoother and less jarring. It prevents awkward pauses or unnatural combinations that disrupt the rhythm of a sentence. Through assimilation, it doesn't always sound like ed. Sometimes, it becomes a soft T or a light D, depending on the word it follows. This is why understanding phonetics is essential for any serious language learner. It's not just about saying the word correctly, it's about hearing it, feeling it, and letting it flow from your mouth in a way that feels natural to a native speaker. Mastering these subtle shifts transforms your English from textbook correctness to real-world fluency. The 3 rules of ed pronunciation. Now let's go deeper into the 3 ways to pronounce the ed ending. These are based on the final sound of the base verb, not the last letter, but the sound. 1. The T sound, unvoiced ending. When a regular verb ends in a voiceless consonant, the ed is pronounced as T. A voiceless consonant is one where your vocal cords do not vibrate. These include sounds like K, P, S, and F. The reason we use T is efficiency. Voiceless sounds flow more smoothly into another voiceless sound. Your mouth doesn't need to shift vibration. It simply continues the breathy motion. 2. The deep sound, voiced ending. When a regular verb ends in a voiced consonant or vowel, the ed is pronounced as pd. A voiced consonant causes the vocal cords to vibrate. Think of sounds like L, N, G, V, and all vowels. The D sound fits naturally because it matches the vibration. Your throat is already producing voiced sound, so it's easy and smooth to continue into the D. This pronunciation allows the speech to flow without interruption. The sound of birds and the gentle breeze make her feel peaceful. In the afternoon, Maria often watches a movie. She enjoys romantic comedies. 3. The deep sound, special cases. Now, for the exception, when a verb already ends in a T or D sound asterisk, adding just T or D again would create confusion. Imagine trying to say ND or weighty. The ending would be swallowed or become unintelligible. To preserve clarity, English speakers insert a full extra syllable, D, with sounds like ID. This is not just a rule, it is a phonological necessity. It keeps each word clear, distinct, and understandable in fast speech. Let's transition from theory into rhythm, a story designed not just to illustrate, but to immerse you in the flow of English past tense forms and natural ed pronunciations. In the heart of a fog-covered village stood a house with ivy crawling up its walls, untouched by time. Inside lived Elias, a quiet historian who dedicated his life to the forgotten. He opened his day with tea and a view of the sea. He wandered through ruins, gathered scraps of parchment, and restored artifacts lost to memory. People barely noticed him, but he continued his work faithfully and alone. He loved history, and he believed that every object, no matter how broken, deserved to be remembered. One winter, a storm devastated the village. The sea raged, and homes collapsed. When the villagers searched for shelter, Elias welcomed them into his home. There, Among relics, he shared stories from his collection. He described ancient rituals, recounted legendary wars, and offered hope through history. The people, once unaware, realized the treasure Elias protected. The mayor requested him to speak at the town hall. At first, Elias hesitated, but then he agreed. And as he spoke, the room listened, and the village changed. They erected a museum, named it after him, and Elias retired knowing that the past he preserved would live on. Did you hear those endings? Each ed echoed a moment, an action, a decision. Listen again. Not to repeat, but to absorb. You made it through day 15. That means you've not only learned one of the most crucial grammar points in English, you've understood the sound structure behind it. Today wasn't about rules. It was about clarity, flow, and voice. You now know how one tiny change, a sound at the end of a word, can elevate your fluency, boost your confidence, and improve your listening. At English Passage, we believe in small steps that lead to great journeys. If today's passage moved you, taught you, or simply made you listen differently, let us know in the comments. What verbs are you using? How do they sound now in your mind and voice? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow learner, because stories deserve to be heard. And so do you. This is your host from English Passage, and I'll meet you on day 16, where we'll continue not just to learn English, but to live it. Until then, stay patient, stay curious, and stay connected to the story inside every word. Goodbye for now, and happy learning. Jai Hind, Vande Matram.